Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Chapter 3, Usefulness of Religion. Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha are the four aims of any religion. These four are called Purusha Shastras. Dharma in Tamil is called Aram. Artha is Porul. Kama is Inbam and Moksha is Veedu. Artha also means meaning and needs and medium of transactions, that is money. So, Purushartha or Purushartham means human needs or wants or goals to be aspired for and attained. What are the human needs? Since in our underdeveloped state, money and materials only are considered as needs, they are classified under Artha. That is why the science of economics is called Artha Shastra. But our Acharya Adi Shankara says in Bhaja Govindam, Artham Anartham Bhavaya Nityam, meaning daily think that money is the corrupting influence. He said, so because these transient two in betweens, Artha and Kama, giving temporary satisfaction, keep us away from the deep ends of Dharma and Moksha. We want to be happy always without anything lacking. Happiness is of two types. Temporary, transient happiness is one. Permanent, complete happiness without any wants is another. This temporary happiness is Inbam or Kamam. Kamam includes all worldly desires. Instead of being transient once reached, what is permanent is moksham or veedu. Since human beings are unaware of that permanent bliss, they run after the temporary kamam. Actually, we want that fourth purushartha of moksham or veedu. Instead, in practical life, we look for the third purushartha, inbam. Bhartiyar says, Ettane kodi inbam vaittai iraiva, meaning how many crores of varieties of pleasure you have kept in the world, O God. See how many varieties of inbam are there. To participate in a feast is inbam. To become a high court judge is inbam. Money, position, power, sports, flattery, welcome address, greeting cards, love letters, possessions, landed property, sex, and so on. These pleasures are not only temporary but are also double-edged. Their lack creates unhappiness. Their availability to other creates jealousy. And then, once they are available to us, the happiness level goes down as there is something else beyond our reach, creating unhappiness. The state of moksham is one after obtaining which there are no more wants or desires. That is veedu or home. We run from pillar to post. We suffer countless inconveniences. We aspire to reach somewhere. After all, our destination is our own house. A man in jail wants out. He wants parole or freedom to go home. When he is released, he goes home. Veedu is freedom. Now we are stuck in the jail, made up of flesh, bones, blood, mucus and nerves. We are thinking this meatball to be us. That is not correct. Body is our jail. Moksham is eternal bliss. As a punishment for our sins, we have been condemned to this jail. By countering this with punya karmas, we can earn freedom. Instead of adding to our period of punishment, we should strive to reduce the same and get condemned. We should try to get release and go back to the permanent abode of our veedu in divinity. The veedu is limitless bliss without any deficiency of time or space or material. I will now talk about the first Purushartha, Dharmam in the end. That action which causes the good for others is Dharma. In Tamil, Avayar says, Aram Seya Virumbu. Though Dharma stands for all good actions, giving alms has become synonymous with Dharma. We often hear beggars saying, Dharmam Podappa or Dharmam Taye. Dhanam and Dharmam are two words used conjointly to give others money and materials that they are in need of and not what you want to get rid of is Dharmam. To be able to give, one should have it, not only the material but also the heart to give. The more you give, the more you get to give. But do not give thinking it to be an investment for more accumulation. Dahara Vidya starts with the declaration Na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyagena ekena amrutatvam anashuhu, meaning that the eternity is experienced not by any action or offsprings or money and were Vittal but only by sacrificing. When you give not expecting a return as an offering, we are cleansed of dirt and it becomes a means for a perennial bliss. Dharma thus becomes a means of artha and moksha. Thus, artha earned through dharma becomes a means for further artha and dharma. Kama or inbam is the only part of Purushartha which does not contribute to future dharma or artha. You have to live. You have to live successfully, effectively. No one denies you the pleasures of life. Enjoy knowing fully well that you are to guard against indulging and do it without resorting to adharma. Enjoy food, music, sex, position and power with dharma as the guard or safety wall against our indulgence. Step by step, gradually, free oneself from the clutches of its pull. Know that all the crores of pleasures that Bhartiya talks about in para above are still not even a speck of the bliss of self-realization. Religions have come into being for the purpose of guiding us from the small pleasures of the world to the greatest pleasure of existence as a child is guided by the parents. The rules of morality tells you how to earn and how not to earn, how to enjoy and how not to enjoy. Having controlled us till we gain maturity, finally towards the end, the religions tell us to forget all this and go beyond to transcend. Tyagena ekena amritvam anasuha, to relieve us from all worldly ties, to enable the human to realize his entitlement of everlasting bliss is the aim of all religions. It is very clear now that we have not got permanent happiness. All the religions of the world have come into being to take man to permanent bliss. This eternal state of bliss is moksham. When we stop running after the fleeting pleasure of the senses, then only we can attain to eternal happiness. Till that happens, so as to gradually overcome the pull of the senses and to suitably organize the social life, the dharma is needed. Thus, dharma has evolved as a synonym for religion. Having become human beings by some Maya Shakti, we have given much importance to materials and sensual pleasures. To accommodate this human nature, Artha and Kama have been included in Purushartha. So, if we give priority to the first principle of Dharma, the other two, Artha and Kama, will remain under control. their potential for harm will be manageable and take us to the fourth principle of moksha. Chapter 4, Man and Animal. Animals grow horizontally, so they are known as triyak in Sanskrit. Contrary to this, man who grows vertically should have a higher ambition and outlook. Then he can reach higher levels of happiness. But in practice, man seems to suffer more. Animals do not seem to experience passion, worry, sorrow, and insult as man does. More than anything else, animals are not capable of committing sins. Only man commits sin and suffers in the bargain. In one way, it will seem that man has not been given the facilities as has been given to animals. If you beat a cow, it has horns to try and retaliate. Tiger has been given claws. We do not have horns or claws. To save them from cold, animals have a thick covering of hair. We do not have it. If somebody opposes, we have nothing to fight with. We cannot have even run. Horse which does not have horns can at least run away. But despite all this, man is the only animal given a brain, a big brain comparatively to his body size. To save himself from cold, he snatches other animals' covering and converts it into a blanket or a coat. Not only that, to move faster, he can make use of a horse and use its speed to his advantage. God has given him the brain to make use of other animals, materials, and nature to his advantage. Thus, he has the brains to make use of all sthavara va jangama, that is, static and mobile aspects of the world for his purposes. For self-defense, he has been able to make a whole arsenal of weapons, starting from the crude knife to the highly sophisticated atomic weapons. Thus, using his brains alone, man has almost mastered all the living and non-living world. Animals live in some parts of the globe in their own habitat. The polar bear cannot survive in Chennai. The elephant of the tropics cannot survive in the very cold or hot areas of polar regions or deserts. But man lives all over the world and makes himself comfortable anywhere and everywhere with the God-given power of adaptability. With his superior brains, man is still suffering. Animals do not have this problem. What is the reason for this suffering? Because of being born are his sufferings. How not to be born? Since we have to take so many whip lashes, we take a body and bear it. Having received our quota, this body goes. By that time, we have booked the next quota. The sins are due to desires. Desire leads to further anger and hatred. The cycle goes on and on. Desirelessness is the only antidote. Action without desire and attachments can enable us to break this endless regression. So, to kill desire is the ultimate aim. What is the reason for desires? To think that there is something other than oneself is the cause. In reality, everything, including me and you and others, are only Sarvam Satyam Shivam Santam. Have you seen birds or animals looking at their own image in the mirror? I have seen house sparrows ritually spending a lot of time every day with its own image in the mirror. A buffalo looking at a mirror tries to headbutt its own image. Sometimes we can be surprised when we suddenly come across our own image. We become quiet once we know that it is our image. Similarly, all the people are our images only. The moment we count two, love and hate, both are born. Desire leads to anger. Anger leads to sin. In Tamil, there is a saying, பார்வையை புனிதமாக்கிக் கொண்டு பார்ப்பது அனைத்தும் இறைவன் என்று தெரிந்து கொள், which in Sanskrit is drishtim jnanamayam kritva pasyata brahmamayam jagat. This saying means, by divinizing your vision, see everything as an embodiment of God. Thus, all that we see is one only. The second or the other lead successively to desire, hate, anger, sin, and eventually next life. Once we know that everything is one, there can be no more desire or hate or anger or sin or next life or suffering. Do you see the logic? How to get this awareness? Mother breastfeeds the baby for physical growth. Mother Ambal feeds us with the milk of divine kindness, which eventually leads us to Jnanam, awareness. Let us catch her holy feet and sacrifice all that is I, me, or mine in her Swarupa of total Jnanam. First, man has to be made into a man instead of being an animal. Then, slowly and gradually, he can be raised to the level of divinity. With this aim in view, religions have come into being. Whatever be the difference between religions in principles, concepts, rituals, procedures, methods, and dogma, to make man into a better human being is the common goal of all religions. To lead man from being ignorant, not being unto aware, being from darkness unto light, from death unto immortality, from here to eternity, is the aim of religions. So the prayer goes, Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityu ma amritam gamaya. In saying this, all religions speak in the same voice. Chapter 5, Bhakti, common for all religions. As I said earlier, all the religions of this world have come into being to relieve man of all his worries. While he has a monopoly on worries, if only he tries, he also has a special capability to attain to Jnanam, not available to any other type of beings, including angels or devas. All the religions of the world proclaim that man can be relieved from all worries and fears if he surrenders unto God, who is the creator, sustainer, destroyer. Advaitam, Visishwadvaitam, Dvaitam, Shaiva Siddhantam, Islam, Jaivism, and Christianity are all of one view on this issue. For all of them, bhakti or devotion is a common platform. Though Buddha did not talk about bhakti, Buddhists have not been able to avoid this. That is why they have considered Buddha as the God and do puja to him by installing huge statues of him in their shrines. Even in recent times, many saints have solely emphasized the importance of Atma Vichara. Their followers have invariably come to consider these saints as God and direct their devotions towards that saint. Devotion is such a natural tendency and expression. As per Advaita, when you pray to God, you are to get over the idea of separateness. Pray or do the puja as though he and you are one and the same. In Puja Vidhanam, you will see this injunction. Deho devalayah prokto jivo deva sanatanah tyajet andhakara nirmalyam soham bhavena pujayet. Meaning, this human body is God's temple. The jiva in it is forever. Throw away darkness of ajnana as you would the used flowers of yesterday and start the process of devotion with the idea that you and the God are one. Similarly, in this Sandhya Vandanam that is required to be done by Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas 3 times a day, there is a mantra Brahmamaivaham Asmi, meaning I am verily the Brahma. This is not meant for telling others or for boasting. This is meant to be told to your own self. Here is an apparent paradox. We have an idea of God as omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient. The devotee is known to be limited in all capabilities. How can the two be one? Listen carefully to the answer. If the opposite were true, that is, if God and the devotee are two different entities, it would mean that there could be things other than God. Where did they come from? If their source of origin is different, how could He have control over them? Deep thinking on this will lead to the conclusion that the one ocean of Ishvara is also the water in the stream, cloud, rain, rivulets, rivers, wells, lakes, utensils, glass, and spoon. There can be differences in size, shape, name, and capabilities, but basically we are one. Acceptance of this reality is Advaita Mukti. It is not enough to say this intellectually. This should become the experience in the mind, heart, and being. Till there is an iota of the idea of separateness in us, this Anubhava Siddhi can happen only with God's blessing. Even to be devoted, we need His blessings. As Manika Vasagar says, Avan Arulale Avantal Vanangi, meaning being obeisant to His feet by His grace, to stop running from pillar to post, and to develop an attraction towards Advaita, we need His blessings. Ishvara Anugrahat Eva Pumsam Advaita Vasana, meaning that human being become capable of recognizing the fragrance of Advaitam only by God's blessings. In the early stages, though feeling of separateness cannot be avoided, we must tell ourselves whatever is God is also the world, is also me. I am not different. I am not contrary to God. I am not anti-God. Since we all love ourselves, our love for Him can only increase in the process. The God who grants the fruit effect of all our actions will also fruition our devotion. You take a step towards Him and see Him responding with many steps. We do not have to analyze Him, no need for comprehension. We will be given the necessary understanding for which He will get down to our level. In Bhagavad Gita 18 Discourse 55th Shloka, Sri Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschami tatvatah, meaning by devotion the devotee knows me in truth as to what and who am I. Then having known me in truth, verily he becomes me. To know Him is to love Him. The devotee loves to talk about Him in all His glories. Jnani, on the other hand, concentrates on the nirguna aspect of the potential and gets dissolved in it entirely. Even that starts from devotion, bhakti only. The Saguna Upasana or idol worship has given rise to the concept of individual's special favorite god or Ishtadevata. Other religions stop at one god, but our Hindu religion, known as Sanatana Dharma, has given the freedom to pray to God the way the individual wishes. After all, the fact remains that it is the same God who exhibits himself in so many forms. The one God only has revealed himself to so many great saints in so many forms. These forms are not just imaginary. The saints have entered, acted with their God, played with him, spoken to him, realized him, and have also indicated the procedure for prayers and given the mantra for the use by the followers. Whatever the procedures, systems, principles, that is, whatever the differences in approach to Jesus Christ or Allah or Ishtadevata or Kuladevata or Jnana Devata or Rama or Krishna or Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, bhakti or devotion is central to all. Chapter 6. The Oneness of Religions. All religions have come into being for the purpose of enabling man to pray to God. All of them say that God is one, that one God will accept your prayers, whatever be the religion through which you approach Him. So, there is no need for anyone to leave his religion and convert to another religion. Temple, church, masjid, vihara, etc. can differ in their structure, the idol or symbol, procedures, ceremonies, and approach. But there is no difference in the God who answers your prayers. Depending on various habits, cultures, and compulsions of the environment of different nations and societies, various religions have evolved. They are all meant to bring man closer to God. So it is clear that there is no need to change your religion. Those who convert to another religion somehow insult the religion in which they were born, the one converted to and God. You may say, why is Swamiji saying this? Anybody leaves the religion to which born only because they would have found some deficiencies in their own religion. Why is he saying that such people insult the religion to which they are converting? Let me answer. Without the understanding that God is universal, only a narrow perception can lead to conversions. Thinking their own God to be useless, they leave one religion and change to another. Do they think of the God to whom they are now getting attached to as encompassing all? No, because if they think of the new God, let us call him new God for ease of understanding. As all inclusive, again, there is no need for their conversion because they think that their new God will protect them only if they leave their old religion and come to the new religion. They decide to convert. In the process, they have made the new God a parochial fanatic. So they have now constructed a wall between the old and new religions. Despite wrongly assuming that religions have a sense of respect, they end up disrespecting the old as well as the new religion to which they have now converted. To say that Islam को खतरा हो गया और Hinduism को खतरा हो गया, meaning that your religion is at peril, is all rabble-rousing only. I must point out an important difference between Hinduism and other religions. This is the only religion which does not say that this is the only religion capable of taking you to God. The Sanatana Vaidika Dharma does not believe in conversion. There have never been any instances in the recorded history of any forcible conversion into Hindu religion because a true follower always respected the fact that There is not only one route to truth. The great thinkers of this religion also believed that there are more approaches to the same goal. They believed in emmadamum sammadame, meaning that all religions are equally acceptable. Everyone born as a Hindu can be proud of this broad and liberal mentality. Veda declares the one truth is spoken about by the learning in many ways. In Gita, Sri Krishna Bhagavan says, whosoever prays in whatever form or method, I reinforce his concentration in that process. One of the Alvars says, Avaravar tamadu arivari, vagai vagai avaravar iraivar, meaning everyone to his own understanding and methods finds his own God. So Hindus have never recorded to conversion but inversion. They have never come down to proselytization, crusades, and jihads. This is a historical fact. The Vijaya, Chera, Chola, Pandya, and Pallava kingdoms did foray into portions of Southeast Asia. Some of them were for trade and commerce, while some of them were military adventures. But that was never on religious grounds. There have never been any forcible conversions. Many have been attracted towards Hindu beliefs and doctrines over the centuries past. Non-Hindus continue to be so attracted in following so many saints of India like Sant Kabir, Sai Baba, Sri Sri Ravi Shankar, Swami Dayanand, Mata Amritanandamayi, Shivananda, and so many more, without ever being told to give up the religion to which they were born. I am of the opinion that in olden times the Vaidika Matam was spread all over the world. Later, other religions have come into being in the past 2000 years. The fact that Hinduism was there is available as relics or ruins in many parts of the world. Even researchers who may not agree with me totally do agree that Hindu religion and culture have spread in many parts of the world, not by force but by acceptance voluntarily on their own volition. To convert a man to a new religion, there has to be a ritual. Some ceremony such as baptism has to be there. But it is interesting to note that in a religion well known for having many rituals more than other religions, there are no rituals for conversion. This is the proof enough to show that we do not believe in conversion. When we get down from the train in a railway station, it is but natural for some drivers of rickshaw or taxi to approach us to give us a lift at a price. In whosoever vehicle we may get in, we will anyhow reach the destination. There is nothing wrong in their competitiveness to earn their living, but to compete with each other in trying to expand one's own religion and do conversion through offer of financial benefits is completely objectionable and meaningless. While the aim is to take us closer to God, this competitiveness in conversion is only an effort to dominate at the cost of free will. Anyone can believe in any God, that is, his free will. Luring people from other religions for the sake of hegemony is what is not required and objectionable. Among religions, there is nothing wrong in there being some differences in procedures, functions, and rituals. There is no need to make them into one. Between people of different religions, uniformity is not required. Unity, tolerance, and acceptance are essential. Chapter 7 Religious Teachers Required Qualifications. In today's world, in all countries, many religions, leaders, and philosophical analysts accept Advaita as the foremost principle. The idea is catching on. You call me your religious guru, so you are likely to hold the view that the reason for the popularity for Advaita is due to the innate greatness of the principle of Advaita, and you are likely to expect me to say so. No, I am doing some loud thinking here. Is Advaita the foremost principle followed by a majority of people? No. There are many ideas, concepts, religions, principles, and philosophies followed by people. There have been occasions when the whole lot of people from one nation have shifted their allegiance from one religion to another. In Buddha's time, many Vaidikas joined the Buddhist religion. Later, many Hindus of India have joined Christianity or the Muslim religion. People of Jainism have become Vaishnavites, calling themselves as Pushtimargis in the past. During Sri Ramanujacharya's time, many embraced his principle of Visishtadvaitam. In Madhava's time, many followed and accepted this Madhava Siddhanta of Dvaitam. During Adi Shankara's time, the Jain and Buddhist religions were adversely affected in terms of followers. In his time, many Karma Margis shifted to Advaita Siddhanta. So the known history is full of examples that a one-time majority religion becomes a minority sometimes. Why does this happen? The question is do people analyze the principles and concepts before accepting a religion? Some intelligentsia may do that, but the mass of people does not do that. The common man does not have either the capability or time to do that. If it is true that people accept or discard a religion based on an understanding of the principles and intricacies of dogma, when you ask someone to explain the basics of their religion, they should be able to give a cogent description. They should be able to say why they prefer their religion over other religions. But in reality, mostly the general public will not be able to do so. They do not know the delicate and subtle points to be able to argue about it. Other than that, they happen to belong to a religion because they are born in it. If others know a little, many Hindus know even less. Leave aside the illiterate, the so-called learned know even less among us the Hindus. They are rather ashamed of the caste system and idol worship, as they are more aware of the criticism leveled against their religion, and they have not made an effort to learn the answers to such criticisms. So, it is my opinion that religions do not grow based on an understanding of the guiding principles. The common man is not interested in knowing the principles. Fate generated by the good behavior, good habits, love and kindness is more the reason why people adopt a religion. When a great saintly person evolves amidst them, they become ready to follow him and listen to him in the belief that whatever he says must be for their good. As against this, whatever the erudition, if that man misbehaves morally or financially, that religion starts to decline. While we are not able to identify the reason why a religion flourishes, despite apparent contradictions in principles and dogma, the reason for a religion's decline is easy to identify. From this one can also get to know as to why it flourished originally. That is, when we know why a religion goes down, we can understand as to how it lives and grows in any country at any time. When the religious leaders and their organizations have shown moral turpitude, there has been a steady decline in that religion's popularity and following. Buddha came. As we hear his story, see his statues with its graceful countenance, we develop a respect and admiration. To see him in life must have been awe inspiring. In latter times, there have been occasions when Buddha Viharas became ill famous, as evidenced by the drama Matta Vilasa Braharanam, a humorous drama written during the time of Mahendra Pallava. This is around the time when Buddhism underwent its decline. The growth and decline of any religion is dependent on the quality of its leaders and preachers. After Buddha, Adi Shankara came on the scene as an adorable and admirable man, and people flocked to him. Then Ramanujacharya and Madhava in turn captured people's imagination and respect. Their ideas were absorbed and they could inspire great following. In recent times, Gandhi came as a man of peace, sacrifice, nationalism, and total self-negation. He could inspire the whole nation, and his followers could be motivated to give their life for truth, ahimsa, and satyagraha. Crores of people adopted who was called Gandhiam. If the following were to be based on the high principles only, Gandhiam should have had a tremendous following even now. But we know that as the subsequent leaders of the Congress party did only lip service to the principles of Gandhiam, it went out of reckoning. The question here is not about the religions which are spread by force or the pull of money. If some religious leaders do a variety of social service and assistance, the poor may get attracted. In the period after 1930, this is how many joined the Christian ranks. In India, similarly many joined the Muslim region. Under compulsion, during the period, the Muslims were the rulers in India prior to the arrival of the Britishers. Here too, the point is that people were not attracted by the pull of noble principles. Another important point to note is that it is the poorest people living in slums who were so attracted by the Christian missionaries during the British period. You are downtrodden, your religion has degraded you. If you join our religion, we will lift you to higher economic and social status. We will give you free education, free medical aid. This is the promise supported by the then government, which was the basis of their propaganda. But not all did so. Despite their poverty, despite the promised allures, they were ready to bear with themselves and their religion. Why? Their own inherent sense of loyalty and integrity and greatness is one reason. More than that, for generation to generation, there have been an abundance of great religious leaders who have come into being in this country. From every strata of the Hindu society, more than any other place on earth. This is an inviolable fact. Despite whatever handicaps, if people have stuck to the religion called the Hindu, the reason is that they felt, come what may, I am not going to leave this religion which has sprouted so many Mahatmas. We need not be critical of the missionaries of other religions. We need not hate them. Let us not think that the reason for their efforts is for hegemony. Let us attribute the noblest of reasons for their trying to attract others into their own religion, to be due to their love of their own religion. So accordingly, they may think that there is nothing wrong in using force and or allure. So conversion may be justified in their view as the end justifies the means. But when a religion does not believe in conversion of other religionists and does not believe in use of force and lure of lucre, then how does it grow? The answer is simple. that it grows only by highest level of humanness in its leaders and its followers, by the highest levels of integrity, honesty, truth, love, kindness, and all the values that human beings love, adore, and admire. You can't play act these qualities, you have to be truly so. Whatever the nobleness of principles, such a leader can have no selfishness. He or she can have no hatred. They have to be imbued with innate peace and love of all, including animals and birds and insects and all animate and inanimate things as divine. They should be so pure that the impurities of anyone approaching them should automatically get sanctified. Even now, this is the only way that Hinduism can thrive. No need for counter propaganda. We need representatives who will be living embodiments of the nobility of Hindu religious beliefs. It is by such belief that Hinduism has survived not for generations but for yugas. In the hereafter too, it will have to depend on such people only. If someone comes to use force to convert us, I cannot mobilize an army and fight. If somebody wants to open hospitals and schools using crores of rupees for converting us, I do not have access to such finances. Even in case I could raise as an army and had access to such money, I still won't do it, because such conversion by any religion is not a genuine change. It will not be permanent, because the same thing can be done by yet another party that is richer and more powerful. So, instead of believing in these outside powers of force and money, we should believe in the inner powers of Atma Shakti by raising ourselves by ourselves. Then no propaganda, no money power, no force can touch us. Without fighting, without propaganda, without the lure of lucre, Hinduism can and will thrive. The philosophers of other countries may praise Advaita to high heavens because of its innate superiority and relevance. They have come to that understanding by analyzing and meditation, but that is not important to the common man. For him, the nobleness of principles is irrelevant. He is looking for noble souls as friends, guides, and philosophers. All my lectures are aimed at with the prayer that such a person may come into a being amidst us repeatedly over time. No other greater achievement can there be than that. KTSV says Perival was one such person. Om Shri Mahaperiyava Sharanam.